Infor Factory Track Biometric Sign-in. In this video, we'll explain the concepts, how to set up a utility, how to set up Factory Track, how to enroll employees into the biometric system, how to log in using biometrics, and finally some other considerations. We'll also have a quick demonstration of how the process is used in real life. Look at the concepts first. Concept is to allow operators to log into Factory Track by means of biometric data. Currently, we only support the use of fingerprints. We have a SQL Server database held locally which holds encrypted employee biometric information. This is captured during the enrollment process and used for verification during the logging in process. Each terminal needs to have the physical device attached to it. It also needs to run the Factory Track biometric utility and to have the device's SDK loaded. The enrollment process is performed by the administrator, ties the biometric results to individual employees, and the data is held in Factory Track and transferred automatically to the local SQL Server database. The login process is performed by the operator and validates their fingerprint against local SQL Server database. The Factory Track biometric utility needs to be installed wherever a biometric device is used. We need to have it configured. There are 4 tabs to consider: the biometric data, where we specify the PC user, which is the Factory Track user who is associated with this particular terminal, which mode that it is supposed to be running in, a reference, and the site, the Factory Track site that this biometric utility is running against. We then need to specify the Factory Track connection data, so we give it the URL, select the configuration that's running, and then give a valid Factory Track user and password. We then need to specify the local database connection information, so the server name, the database name, what type of authentication is to be used, and then a valid username and password to gain access to that SQL Server database. Finally, we need to define the device configuration data, need to select the device vendor, specify how many seconds any errors should flash on the device for, and specify how many seconds a successful login should illuminate for. Once we've set up all of these 4 tabs, we then click on Save Configuration. Next, we need to set up Factory Track. So we turn on the biometric system in use from the shop floor parameter form, tell the operator what to do to log in this case we're saying to scan your right index finger, and specify how long the timeout should be. This ensures that only recent fingerprints are taken into account and typically should be set to something like 10 or 20 seconds. The enrollment process is performed by the administrator, links the captured biometric information to the employees. So in order for this to run, we have to set the utility to enrollment and download mode. We then open the enrollment form and select the employee number. Select the Enroll radio button. The employee will then put their finger on the device. The system then sends a message to link the captured biometrics to that employee. We can test this by selecting the Test Radio button to check the biometrics have been captured correctly. And we can delete individual biometric data if we wish to. The logging in process is performed by the operator, uses the fingerprint to identify the employee. So on this terminal, we need to set the utility to matching mode. We then open the Factory Track employee login form. The employee puts their finger on the device, then uses the device SDK to match the captured biometric data with the local database biometric information. The fingerprint matching is actually performed by the device SDK. It uses the Factory Track messaging system to send a message to the Factory Track user. And if it finds a match, it will optionally display a welcome screen. So the employee is now logged into the Factory Track system. Things we might need to consider. We do need to have a local SQL Server database to hold the biometric information. We also need 1 device for every terminal that operators will use to log in. The system insists on biometric uniqueness. We cannot link the same biometric information to more than 1 operator. We'll give an error message if the administrator attempts to link the same biometric data to more than 1 operator. Currently, we're only supporting fingerprints, and we recommend the M2 EasyScan Pro fingerprint reader. We also need to install the device SDK on each terminal. So now a brief demonstration of the enrollment and logging in process. First of all, we're going to do some enrollment. So we open the utility and set the mode to enrollment and download and save the configuration. We then go to the services and start the Infor Factory Track biometric service. Next, we log into Factory Track in administrator mode. We open up the biometric enrollment form and select the employee who we're going to register. So in this case, we've selected 300-102. We click on the enroll button, and then the operator puts their finger on the device, and we get a message to say the enrollment is successful. We might choose to do another enrollment for another finger if necessary, but now we have 2 biometric for that user. We now select a different user. We get him in, he puts his finger on the device, and enrollment is successful. Again, we might ask him to do a second enrollment just for safety purposes. Now what we'll do is we'll test that these have been stored correctly. So we're going to go back to the first employee, 300-102, select the test box, ask the operator to test their enrollment, and it says scan successful. So there has been a successful match. If we try to do it against a different employee, we get a message back to say that this is an incorrect match. Or if we scan one that hasn't been registered, we get an invalid scan. So that completes the enrollment process. The next side of it is how we're going to use this for logging into the system. So we're going to log in as a generic user, and it brings up the Factory Track employee login form. We're going to set the utility so it has the correct user and is now in matching mode. And now we restart the service so that it will operate in a matching mode. Now we ask the operator to scan in their fingerprint. The system then compares this with its local database and logs the employee in. In this case, it's 300-102. If I now log back to the main screen, then again it asks me for biometrics. If I log in again with the finger, and this time it detects I'm 300-109. If I scan a biometric that is not known, I get a user not found message.